Hey there, how you doing? Nice to see you. You're looking awfully well rested today. Did you get some good sleep last night? I hope so. Sleep is important. Welcome to my channel. Here we talk about all things personal health and wellness. It's hard to take care of yourself in this world, so might as well have a community to turn to make things easier, right? My name is Klaus, and I'm excited to get into it, so let's get started. A big part of my self-care journey right now is attempting to find comfort in my body, starting from the top and working all the way down. I started a few years ago with tackling my face and hair, and honestly, I've learned a lot since then. First of all, it took me about 6 months at least to figure out that I might treat my scalp differently from my hair. Then it took another month or so to figure out that my face and my scalp might actually have similar needs. I'm now about 3 years into focused experimentation, and I found some routine elements that work really well for me, but results haven't been consistent, so I'm still working on it. And before we get into this experiment, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I've learned so far. I spent my teen years, like many people, having no idea what my face needed. I thought that if I just used the right product, the right number of times, everything would clear up, my acne would go away, and my skin would be happy. Obviously, that didn't happen because that only works for a few people, not most people. One of my biggest difficulties was with how oily my skin got. I would wash it and leave it unmoisturized, and then about an hour later it would be oily and slick again. Eventually, when I was in my early 20s, I finally realized why that was. My skin needed moisture. I know, it seems counterintuitive because that's what I thought initially. It made no sense. But in fact, my skin was producing sebum to make up for what I had stripped off of its protective layers with my soaps. So when I started moisturizing, I found that my skin was automatically healthier. It looked cleaner. It felt better, and I had way fewer breakouts. At this point, I started getting into establishing a facial care routine, and I looked to a lot of my friends, plus the internet, for whatever information I could find. I ended up finding a lot of information about Korean and Japanese skincare routines, and the one I now use actually looks very similar to an abbreviated Japanese skincare routine. I always liked the idea of the double wash, gently removing oils, makeup, dirt, etc., and then going back to exfoliate. I find that my skin feels really clean and plump when I'm done doing that. I just feel like everything is out of my pores, and it's a wonderful sensation. From there, I started looking into what kind of toners I could use. I have pretty big pores naturally, so I looked for things that would minimize them and found niacinamide is really good for reducing the size of your pores. I also have acne scars, which you can probably see because I don't like to wear foundation. And I found that moisturization and exfoliation combined will increase the rate of cell turnover, which will reduce those scars over time. I started to use hyaluronic acid to moisturize, and eventually found products that had both niacinamide and hyaluronic acid in them. So what I started to do was I would cleanse and exfoliate with the double wash, use a serum that had both niacinamide and hyaluronic acid in it, and then moisturize. That's now my face routine, which I've been using for 2 years, and my skin has never looked better than it does now. So, how does all that apply to my scalp? Well, after I had figured all this out about my face, I started thinking about how to work on my hair. I've always had 2 issues with my hair that I want to work on. One is it used to be pin straight when it was dry, but would get wavy when wet, and I wanted that wave to last once it dried. I'm still in the process of working on that, but I did find the curly girl method a couple of years ago. I'm still trying to figure out how best to use it to make it work for my hair, and I will actually have a video on that later in the year as well, as I continue to figure out how best to utilize that method. The second issue is a combination of dandruff and pain. My hair used to be so long I could sit on it, and when I cut it, I actually had 25.5 inches of hair just cutting to here, right? So when it was shoulder length, everything below that was 25.5 inches longer. At first, I thought that my scalp pain was because I had so much hair and it was so heavy. But I started to find, even after cutting it, that my scalp actually hurt more often than not. That was my big issue, and what I started to focus on once I realized that my scalp needed different treatment from my hair at large. Once I realized that my scalp might have specific needs, I started using my face serum on my scalp, and it was a game changer. Huge difference, automatically. I mean, I had less dandruff, I had less pain, but the results didn't last very long, and ultimately I wasn't actually removing any of the buildup that was causing these issues. So I started to look into other methods of taking better care of my scalp. Adding an exfoliant to my routine was another huge step forward, and it actually brought me to where I was before this experiment, where I could go 3 to 4 days without itching or dramatic oiliness, which was great. But the problem at that time was my scalp would still hurt sooner than that, and my scalp would need a new wash sooner than my hair did. I really wanted to match those two up so that I would have an easier time working with my schedule and would feel less like I was playing catch up with my pain. You see these red patches on my face? I've got a few of them. These appear if I go 2 days or more without sticking perfectly to my face washing schedule. And it'll be harder to see these on camera, but I actually get them on my scalp too. You can see them a little clearly along my hairline, but there are more kind of behind my ears. There are some that like to nestle kind of back here. And these, you know, they get itchy. They're obviously very bright red. They get kind of painful sometimes, and they even start to form scabs if I leave them for too long. But once I'm actually on my routine, it takes about 3 days on average for them to clear up. My current wash day routine looks like this. 1, I use an exfoliating scalp scrub on my scalp. 2, I wash and condition my hair. And 3, I apply a humectant directly to my scalp and let dry. This gets repeated every 4 days. When I'm on top of things, it works pretty well, but as I've stated before, results aren't consistent or perfect, and my scalp and my hair still have not matched up on a timetable yet. Plus, honestly, I'd really like to push for a little more longevity if I can. If I can go a full week without having to wash my hair, that would be really nice. So, as you can see from the state of my face, I have been off my routine for a little bit now. I've been traveling while stressed, which is a perfect way to get off your schedule. So today I'm gonna apply a scalp oil and let that sit for a little while. I didn't actually bring any of my normal scalp scrub with me because it's easy to make and I didn't want to carry it across the country. So I need to make some of that, and I'll have the scalp oil sitting directly on my scalp while I'm making that. Then I'll wash it out, I'll use the scrub, and I'll report back after I've taken a shower. Thursday. I made my scalp scrub and did my whole new routine last night, Wednesday night. Update for today is that my scalp is looking pretty great, actually. It's looking significantly better. There's very little dandruff compared to yesterday, which after only a single wash is pretty impressive. And the red spots are much less pronounced already, so that's awesome. The other thing is that my scalp doesn't hurt, which usually after just one day of washing, it does hurt a little bit, but it doesn't hurt right now, and it hasn't hurt for most of today. What I did last night was, instead of my normal routine that I've been doing of scrub, cleansing condition, and then add a humectant, I scrubbed with the exfoliating scrub. Then I shampooed, and before conditioning, I added a pH balancing humectant and a hyaluronic acid solution. I added that because it soaks in really well and actually like leaves my skin feeling pretty dry on the outside while feeling moisturized internally. So tried that out, and then I conditioned. My hair does look a bit dirtier than it normally does right after a wash day. It hasn't felt dirty for most of the day. It's mostly just very soft. It's starting to feel a little dirty at this time of day just because, you know, it's a hot day. I had sunscreen on earlier. But yeah, that's my update for Thursday. Hello, it is Saturday night. I know my last update was on Thursday, but I've been in pain. Still am right now, but whatever, I'm going to bed soon. Anyway, I washed my hair again tonight, mostly because my self-care app reminded me to, and because I'm going to be taking a lot of photos tomorrow and I want to look as nice as I can. So I washed it and did the same thing as last time, except I didn't have any itching or pain, so I didn't use the pH balancing, microcosm balancing, whatever it does stuff. Here, let me describe it. This stuff. This is what I've been using for a couple months now. I use it a couple times a week. It's recommended for, I think, 3 times a week. Let's see. For best results, use 3 times per week. So I was using this, and I used it on Thursday, but I didn't think I needed it this time. So I did just the hyaluronic acid serum, and so far I feel really good. You can also see that my scalp is pretty happy looking. Not really getting much dandruff. When I ran my comb through it while it was conditioning, there was nothing that came off my scalp, which was awesome. So I'm hopeful that this will work well, and I guess we'll just wait and see. Good morning, it is Sunday morning, and I just had to show off how well my wash went last night, because oh my goodness, I'm so happy. My hair looks and feels clean and soft. My scalp feels hydrated. I even ran my fingers through it earlier and it didn't feel dry. It didn't feel dandruffy. I have checked through it. When I pull the hair to the side, I don't see tons of dandruff anywhere. The red spots are pretty much gone. And when I kind of shuffle my fingers across my scalp, I'm not seeing a bunch of dead skin cells fly off. So very, very happy for right now. It's also a very hot day, so we'll see how that affects the cleanliness of my hair. It is Monday evening, and honestly, my scalp feels pretty great. There are a couple of spots. One here, it's toward the back, here. One here, and one kind of in between them, about there-ish. All of which are sore, but the rest of my head is fine. I'm gonna put some more hyaluronic acid on those spots and see if that helps. I'm thinking it will, because honestly just massaging those spots is helping already, so hopefully it'll work. And as far as everything else, I mean, I've got great volume from my roots. I'm feeling pretty good. My hair feels clean, it looks clean. My scalp doesn't feel oily but doesn't feel dry either. I'm not seeing dandruff. I think we're in a really good place. Alright, it is Tuesday night. The sore spots from last night are not as acute as they were, but I still have some soreness across my scalp. Not sure if it's adjusting to the products I'm using or if I've just been in a lot of pain, which I have been. Could be anything. My hair does feel and look a little bit dirty today, so that's progressing at pretty much the rate I expected to already. But I still have lots of nice volume, so there's that. Alright, it is Thursday night. I'm about to wash my hair again because I didn't wash it yesterday. I basically slept all of yesterday. I think I forgot to record one of these yesterday, but that's fine. You can see my hair's a little greasy looking. My scalp has been off and on kind of itchy, but not super dandruffy or anything. There are some spots along the hairline that are starting to get those red itchy bumps that my face has. This is just from 2 days of not doing my face routine perfectly, so that's always fun. But yeah, I'm gonna wash my hair, wash my face, and hopefully things will be even better tomorrow. But I do think that this is pretty promising for my scalp, given that, you know, I'm only itchy on day 5, so that's pretty good. It's been a few days since my last update, and I will admit that in my last update I said I was about to wash my hair, and then that didn't happen. So it was a few more days until I actually washed it. I just got out of the shower. It is nice and freshly clean and conditioned. And honestly, there are times where I'm gonna forget, or the day's gonna get away from me or whatever. Like I need to have a routine that works well enough to give me that kind of wiggle room. And I think this one is there because I didn't have any pain the last few days. I didn't have any dandruff. The only problem spot was right along here, which gets finicky anyway because I haven't found the right balance yet of like keeping my face products away from this line. This routine is working way better than any other scalp routine I've had so far, and I think we're in good shape. I just washed, there was no dandruff that came out. I did the whole scrub and everything, and it felt great. And I put the hyaluronic acid on, massaged it in, so I'm excited to see what comes tomorrow. Okay, so I washed my hair last night as per the last update, and honestly it feels great. I mean, there were a couple sore spots when I woke up this morning, mostly along like the edges here, but if you look at it, my scalp isn't red, it isn't flaky, it doesn't have stuff all over it, and I think that as sebum gets produced throughout the day, those sore spots are getting, the more that my scalp can do for itself, the better. This just seems to be working really well, and I'm very, very glad. All right, this is my final update. Tomorrow is another wash day, and it's been more than 10 days, which was my goal for this video. I am so happy with how this has gone. My scalp is nice and clear. It's looking very healthy. It doesn't have red spots or dandruff or anything kind of sitting on it. I even figured out in the last couple of days that if I add a little hyaluronic acid serum right along the hairline each day, it keeps that problem spot from getting irritated again. I just have to make sure that my facial moisturizer doesn't reach up to the hairline. I'm barely in any pain. It comes and goes, but you know, compared to what I experience most of the time, hardly there. And the lack of dandruff and the lack of spotting is huge. So I am very, very happy with how this experiment went. I'm going to call this experiment a success. My scalp has been so happy and healthy over the last few weeks, and even though I didn't intend to get off my schedule in the middle, it's actually a really good test of how well this routine works, because no matter what, I'm going to have times that I get off on my schedule, and I need to know that that isn't going to set me entirely back to square one like it used to. Of course, I'm in Hawaii right now and I don't live here anymore, so there is a good chance that my skin will behave a little differently when I get back to where I currently live as opposed to how it behaves here. I do find in general, and have found for years, that my skin is just easier to manage when I'm here than it is elsewhere. But at the same time, my face has been pretty consistent for a few years now, and these results have been more consistent than any I've seen prior to now. So I'm hopeful that I'll actually continue to see the same sort of result even after I get back to where I live now. If you've got something uncomfortable going on with your body or otherwise in your life, just know that you can try things out to make it better. Sometimes it'll be a lot of work, sometimes it won't actually help as quickly as you want it to, but the results can be really life-changing. And I mean, it took me a long time to hone in on this routine, but now I'm experiencing less pain every day, and I feel more confident in my hygiene, which is huge. If you have any similar experiments that you're working on or that you've resolved in the past, please feel free to put them in the comments below. It would be wonderful to see how we're all working on making our lives better for ourselves. Have a wonderful day, and ahui ho!